Okay, hello everyone. This is Hakusho here, and this is gonna be part 9 to What If Deku was a spirit detective from Yu Yu Hakusho. Ow. Anyways, whenever we last left off, Deku and Bakugo had just discovered he can manifest a spirit weapon. So this would have actually taken Bakugo back and quite shocked him, really. Because him and Deku were both born quirkless, but they essentially both have weapons now. So he'd still be trying to process that in his brain, and he's going up against Shinji. I think that's how his name was pronounced. Also, um, okay, Katsumi, the guy I'm doing a collab with for which Deku had Meliodas' assault mode. He actually just posted part 2 on his channel today, and I'm going to be recording part 3 in a minute. Well, not in a minute, but with my schedule right now, I'm going to do a 100 subscriber special tomorrow. If I do break over 100 tomorrow, and if I do that special, I'm going to be trying to focus on getting that what if out and actually done. So the videos might actually be a lot longer. Anyways, that special is going to be a fan requested one. I'm not going to say which one because I've actually had 5 people request me to do different what ifs already. But Bakugo and Shinji, I think I called him, are facing off against each other and they're going to fight. Shinji is probably about Bakugo in this what if is probably about as tall as hmm. He's as tall as I want to say Ida. And Deku's actually around Bakugo's height. So basically, they're both around Ida's height. Now then, Shinji would go to attack Bakugo. Bakugo would punch him in the face and actually knock him on the ground. He would then be surprised at how the power difference between him and Shinji are. Now, I don't know if I'm actually pronouncing his name right, but his name is Japanese, and I do not speak Japanese. I'm just trying to pronounce it as best as I can in English. But anyways, after this, Deku would be kind of surprised because he thought Rando would be a very powerful demon from what Koima and Botan have told him. Now then, after this, I think Shinji, yeah, I'm just gonna say Shinji from now on. Shinji would actually be going, and he'd start using a technique. All of a sudden, his aura would change, and he starts glowing quite a bit. Genkai would actually be quite surprised to see Shinji doing this, and afterward, she would then say that, well, he would then create red, pinkish fireballs and actually start throwing them at Bakugo. Bakugo would actually dodge these, and then he would see that he's charging them up again. Bakugo would then actually create his spirit sword and actually throw a ball right back at Shinji by essentially using the spirit sword like a bat and hitting the ball straight back at him. Now then, afterwards, he would actually get back up and actually start saying that Bakugo is actually quite powerful. He didn't think that a human could be this strong. He would then begin to start chanting. I don't remember what the chant was, but it's very complicated. But after this, he would say reformation, and all of a sudden, everything just gets 50,000 times bigger to Bakugo. He starts getting confused and looking around. He then have to try and avoid the Shinji's feet and actually run. He'd be running around and he'd be realizing that everything didn't grow, he shrunk. And this is pretty crazy to him. Because he's heard of quirks that can like do crazy things, but this is not a quirk, is it? Because he's not tired afterward, he's not doing any of that, but he's just still standing there trying to smash Bakugo with his feet, trying to step on him. And Deku would then hear from Genkai that the only people she knows that could do those techniques have been dead for centuries. Deku would then state that you kind of just confirmed what I was here to figure out. That is rando. After this, Shinji would pick up Bakugo and he would actually tear off one of Bakugo's sleeves. Like the sleeves on his shirt, right here. After that, he would then grab his arm, he would pull on it and press on it, and all you would hear was just Bakugo screaming in pain until he just puts down enough pressure to break his arm. Now, he doesn't break the joint right there. He breaks the bone on the lower and upper part of his arm by pushing down in that area where the joint is. He would then squeeze Bakugo. He would just squeeze him with both hands, and he's waiting until he hears the pop. Deku would actually get very mad and start running in, telling him to put him down. And right as he's about to step in and actually punch him, this is whenever he would actually just throw Bakugo straight over Deku. Deku would be trying to run over and catch Bakugo right before he falls and hits the ground, but he misses and he can't find Bakugo. This is whenever Shinji would actually start chanting again, and he would say reform. Now, Bakugo has grown back to be normal size, but Botan, she couldn't even watch what was happening. It was just horrifying to her. Deku would actually see Bakugo, and he'd get very mad at what happened to him. He's actually stronger, and he's madder than in canon. What happened with... Mm, uh, he'd be madder than Yusuke because of what happened to Bakugo. Because Bakugo is essentially Kuwabara. Now then after this, Bakugo would say that, he better not lose. Because he's not gonna, don't worry about him. He's not gonna die because he still has to whoop Deku's ass before he does. And he would kind of just pass out. Shinji would be called the winner, and he would actually be kind of happy about this. He'd be proud of what he did because he hasn't had a chance to use those techniques in forever. Now then, this is whenever would get very mad at him and actually step onto the battlefield to fight him. He would then take a stance, and Deku would rush him. He'd then punch him in the face hard enough to send him back probably about 10 feet. And he would be surprised by this because his his legs actually started wobbling after that punch. Then Deku would just go in over and over, punching him, kicking him, trying to do whatever he can. Essentially doing all this, and then Shinji would actually have to try and build distance from Deku. He would then be using another psychic technique, and I don't exactly remember the name of this. It was something like it was I think it had something to do with a phoenix. I don't really remember, but after this, he would then start floating in the air and actually start shooting these essentially razor blade. Hmm. Um, have you guys ever seen a buzzsaw? Like the metal blades? He essentially starts shooting like those, but they're made of air. And they're actually supposed to cut into a person so much that it rips the oxygen from the cuts in their body, essentially suffocating the person and making them bleed out. It sounds very dangerous. It's actually kind of sounds weirdly cool. Now then, after that does happen, Dick would get back up and he'd be pissed off, saying that that really hurt. He'd be surprised, saying that most humans don't actually get back up after that. So Deku would start charging in again. This is whenever he would fire them off again and actually expect Deku to dodge or just hit Deku again. This is whenever Deku would jump up into the air and actually start flying through the tornado he created. Now, whenever Deku does get through the tornado, he would grab him and actually put his hand, both of it, cross his hands over his neck and actually just slam into the ground with him. Whenever he does slam into the ground with him, he thinks that he's actually won. No, that did not happen, Deku. Because Rando's actually a bit more injured in this time, in this human form now. So he pulls out his demon form. He essentially looks like an Inuyasha with red hair and body tattoos. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that mental image. It's so weird because the design looks too similar to Inuyasha, and it's so cringy the way he looks. It's like name brand versus great value. It's so funny. But afterwards, Deku would actually be surprised because he didn't think that he would get back up. Now then, Rando would actually walk in front of Deku, and Deku would just start throwing as much punches as he can. Rando would be very disappointed, saying that not a single one of those had any ounce of spirit energy. So he's done for. Now he's going to kill him and rip out his throat. But it's so hard to choose which techniques to try first. This is always the hardest part. Because Rando is essentially like Frieza. Anytime he pulls out this form, it's like an old suit you never have the occasion to wear. But anytime you do, somebody dies. Anyways, after that, Rando would then be fighting Midoriya. He'd be fighting him, and he's actually just toying with him at this point. He would then start spitting out a giant spiderweb cage around Deku. Oh, that's not good. Anyways, after spitting this out, he would actually surround Deku with it. And he essentially creates like giant demon tape. Because this stuff's basically unbreakable to any human. Now, after this does happen, Deku would he would begin trying to fight off Rando, but he can try and escape the tape, but he can't. This is whenever Rando would actually just grab the well, he would actually bring the tape into a giant strand and just start spinning Deku with it. Have you ever like seen someone whenever they go to do a lasso, or whenever they start swinging a lasso around in the air, Deku's basically on the end of that, being just swung in circles over and over again. Until Rando gets bored and just hangs him from a tree. He would then start chanting another incantation. Now then, after he gets done with this, he would also create a tiny demon in his hand, saying that these are hate fish. That's the actual name of him. Yes. And afterward, he would create a small demon in his hand and actually throw it at Deku. This thing immediately just grows to the size of like a car and starts charging at Deku while it's still in midair. This is whenever. Oh man, I hate. Ugh, I hate my nose right now. Um, this is whenever Rando would actually stop the demon by essentially putting an invisible wall in front of Deku, and the demon would immediately just fall into the water, getting eaten to the bone in less than 5 seconds. These things just tear the demon apart. Rando would then tell Deku that that is what happens to a low level demon who could defend themselves. Imagine what would happen if someone tied up couldn't. It fell in there. It's very interesting to him. Now, he wants to try out another technique, a brand new one, in fact. He would then stick his finger outward with his thumb out and actually fire a gun. Well, he would fire spirit energy in Deku's direction. Now, this would actually go straight past Deku's head and destroy a tree behind him. And it's leaving Rando's fingers smoking, and Deku just has a pure look of fear in his eyes. Rando would then just smile and say that that's it. That's the look on the face that he loves to see on every human. It's not the thrill of a hunt, it's the fear he sees in their eyes that gets him. It's what feeds and drives him to keep going. He would then shoot the branch Deku is attached to, and Deku would fall into the water. Now, as Deku is sinking to the bottom, with these fish surrounding him, Bakugo is talking while he's unconscious, saying that he's ready to fight Midoriya. Just come on, don't hold back. Genkai is kind of surprised because of how one track his mind is, but Botan, she's not really sure what that guy's all about. Then, after that, Bakugo's soul would actually leave his body. He's not dead, but he needs to help Midoriya. His soul would then fly into the lake and actually surround Deku's body to protect him. He then say that Deku's a jackass if he thinks that he's going to lose against this guy. That if he's going to die so easily, then he's going to. Botan's probably going to ask him to be the next spirit detective after you to take this guy down. And that if you're really going to die so easily, hell, he might even date. He might even start going to hit on Keiko now. Keiko. That's her name in the anime. He might start hitting on Mina now, since he doesn't seem to have the balls to ask her out. Now, Deku gets very angry at this and stating that Bakugo needs to stay away from Mina and try not to take his job. Now, Deku would actually rip out of the tape, and this is when his energy just fires out of the water, just straight up. After that, Deku would then, well, Rando would actually see bubbles, and he'd actually shoot the spirit gun in that direction. Because he's waiting for Deku to pop out of the water. This is whenever Deku would actually come out from a mosh pit behind him, and Randy would turn and he'd actually fire the gun. But this is Deku also fired his, saying that you may be able to fire yours more, but it doesn't have the same stopping power. And his beam would essentially drill through Rando's and actually hit him square in the chest, knocking him down. After that, Deku would start. He would drop to his knees and be very exhausted. And he would tell Genkai that he won her stupid little tournament. So now let's just call it a day. Genkai would say that he kind of just wasted the time and energy walking over here because it's not done yet. This is whenever he would turn around and be met with a punch by Rando. Rando got very mad that this human is essentially nearly matching him in power. Now, after that, he would then start chanting. And Deku, for him, he's losing vision in one of his eyes. He can't hear anything. He can barely see anything. He can barely make out Rando's face and what he's saying. Now, after this, Rando would then shout reformation, saying that it was a good fight, and he would ask Deku his name. Now, whenever he does ask Deku his name, Rando would then shrink down. Then after that, Genkai would tell Rando that it was very stupid to do that because incantations require your victim to hear you. You need to have a target to release them. Rando would shout that clearly he had a target and that she must be truly going senile. Then Deku would try to sit up, and he cannot see out of his left eye, but he would then start messing with his ears. And he pull out swamp algae, saying that he cannot hear anything. After that, he would actually stand up and he would look around and ask where Rando is. He would then look down and with the biggest shit-eating grin you can think of, he would just atomic elbow Rando. And what I mean by this is he would jump up into the air and just come down as much as he could with an elbow, nearly killing Rando. He would then turn over and he'd be happy that he won. And he would ask Genkai if they can start training. Well, if they can start training tomorrow. Or that whenever they, or like the next week, because he wants to enjoy his weekend. She'd then say that Deku doesn't really have a choice, and that over the next 6 months, she's going to be teaching him everything he needs to know about her technique. Deku would then just pass out in the grass, and Genkai would go over to heal Bakugo. Now, she actually does heal him entirely. And yeah, this is where I'm going to be leaving this part off of. I'm very glad that I was able to stop that from getting picked up, or have that not get picked up on, because I just bit my tongue as soon as I said that, and I was able to stop it from me from actually biting down too hard. But anyways, I hope you guys had an amazing day, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video.